My name is Neal Harmon, and this is my co-founder, Jeffrey.
Hi.
We're glad to be on with you tonight, and we have some really exciting things to go over. We've prepared a presentation on why we changed the name of the company, on a little bit of our history, just to go back in time and remember what we've been through. We're so grateful to all of those of you who have went through all of this with us. And we are also, we're going to actually go over the details of the branding. Jeffrey's going to go over that. And then we're going to go over our team. So with that, Ali, if you could cue up our presentation, or if you are needing some extra time, we'll buy some time for you.
This takes a while. So, Ali, we need to be able to see your screen so we know what's up.
There we go. So, sorry for the technical difficulties here. So, again, the agenda for today is I'll just pull here. 1 second. I'm just going to pull up the presentation myself so I can see it. All right.
Normally we run the presentations from our computer.
Yep.
So this time we're running it through a different thing, and it's the first time.
Yep. So again, we're going to go over a brief history of VidAngel, a new global brand, our North Star, and our team. And at any time, you can go to investinangel.com to learn more about the offering. We're doing a $5 million offering, and we'd appreciate your support. So as far as the brief history, we're going to do this in Star Wars titles. We thought that would be fun for all of you. So the first year that we started this company was in 2013, and we called that year A New Hope. And that was a year Google announced the Chromecast private beta. And 4 brothers, we started VidAngel for our own children. Our long-term vision was to use filtering to assemble a global audience of like-minded people.
Let me just stop it for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who wants to ask a question that for us to answer questions because of the way the regulations work, you need to ask a question on investinangel.com. You scroll to the bottom and there's a question section. If you ask the question in the YouTube comments, we're more restricted on how much we can answer, because any question that gets asked about investment has to be asked inside of the portal. It's a FINRA regulation. And so
that's for all investors.
How I understand the FINRA regulation. Maybe we don't understand it all, but if you just go to investinangel.com and go to the bottom and ask questions, we can answer them there. So like Justin, you asked a great question, but we need you to ask it on the portal so we can answer it.
Yeah, thank you for stopping me on that. The reason for this is because every investor, whoever invests in this round, needs to have the exact same information as every other investor. And so we need to have all those questions posted there on that page. That's investinangel.com. So again, our long-term vision was to use filtering to assemble a global audience of like-minded people. But the original goal was that we could, once we had that group of people, we could publish better content than Hollywood was doing. So the year 2014, we called the year of the Phantom Menace, because we had an elusive time trying
2014.
to... 2014. Yeah. Trying to operate the business. So the Chromecast tech that we were so excited about got disabled. The YouTube paintball video we did that went viral was censored from our audience. And the studios told Google Play no to filtering with Google Play. So that we call that the Phantom Menace, and our revenue that year was $19,000. The year 2015, we named Solo. This is because we built a new system with the help of a famous Hollywood attorney named David Quinto. We wrote all the major studios and asked for their feedback, and then we followed up with them, and we got nothing, and we went it alone. So we call that year Solo. That year we did $415,000 in revenue. You can see the growth there in annual revenue in thousands of dollars. The year 2000 and
we were getting pretty excited at this point.
Yes. Year 2015, we call Attack of the Clones, because that was the year that we got sued. And what was interesting about the lawsuit is that we asked many of you whether you would like to invest, and 1/4 of our customers said they wanted to invest to the tune of $62 million. And 2 weeks later, Disney sued us. But regardless, all of you stepped up and helped us fight that lawsuit. We asked for $5 million to fight the lawsuit, and we raised that money in 28 hours. And in another weekend, you gave us another $5 million, and that allowed us to rebuild the product. So that was the Attack of the Clones, and you can see the growth in annual revenue there grew to $8 million. So the year 2017, we call the Return of the Jedi. We started that year with our revenue at 0. And it was a very difficult time. But right as we got the injunction, we also launched VidAngel Studios and Dry Bar Comedy. We rebuilt the filtering platform to work with Netflix and Amazon, and we started generating income again. We had to file for Chapter 11 that year, and we launched the pilot episode for The Chosen. That year, we did $2.7 million. 2018, we called The Force Awakens. So the Utah court gave us the entire year to rebuild our business in bankruptcy. So fundraising and production began on season 1 of The Chosen. Dry Bar Comedy became cash flow positive. And, well, the studios assuring the Utah court that they had no desire to kill us. They asked, and they were given permission by the Utah judge to go back to trial to California, which we call the year 2019, The Empire Strikes Back. So the judge didn't even give us a chance to go to trial on our business. He just said we're guilty, and then gave us a very interesting, unfair trial. And the studios got the largest per work judgment in history of $62 million. So that was more per work than Pirates. The studios marched right back to Utah, and they asked the court to kill VidAngel. But we agreed to have a trustee to run our company. And but we said to the studios, if we're going to agree to a trustee, you have to agree that you can never change that person once they're installed as a trustee.
Because what can happen is the creditor can go in and just change over and over again until they find a trustee that will kill the company.
Yep.
And so we said, look, if you agree to never change it, and kind of cornered them.
Yep, that's exactly right. And they wanted to look good in front of the judge and the trustee's office, and they agreed to it, and we agreed to it, and we had a trustee take over our company.
And we just knew that if we got a good trustee that wants to obey the law, that the law was on our side.
That's right. Season 1 of The Chosen was launched for free in its own app that year, and Dry Bar Comedy was viewed over 1 billion times. And we surpassed the amount of revenue that we did the year that we were sued. We made it to $10.7 million in 2019. Now things are getting really exciting in 2020 on many levels. We call this the rise of Skywalker. So The Chosen became an award-winning success. The trustee filed a plan to pay off the entire $62 million judgment. We can't emphasize enough what a miracle this was. The trustee is a conservative third party who has financial advisors, and they looked at the company and they said, you guys are going to be able to pay off this whole entire judgment because your company is growing so well. And The Chosen, its own sales funded season 2, and we got permission to film during COVID.
And we filed an appeal.
And we got permission to film during COVID in Goshen, Utah. Disney started losing tens of millions of dollars a day because of the pandemic, and they eventually gave up and asked to settle.
So between the appeal documents getting filed, the pandemic, our revenues, the judge starting to say it looks like, and the trustees saying these guys can pay this off, Disney was in a losing position because they can lose the judgment they got inside the appeal, which would have been, we felt very confident about that. And they were losing all this money, so they're getting pressure from above saying we got to cut costs. And anyway, it all came together. And within a very short period of time, we got a settlement offer.
And we had tried to settle with them. I can't even count the number of times.
Yeah.
And even when they came back, they offered to settle, they pulled out, and then they came back again. And then we took a vote to all of you who were investors in VidAngel, and we all agreed that we wanted to settle and move on to an extremely important business. So Tuttle Twins and Freelancers last year also both funded to the crowdfunding limit at the time, which was $1.07 million each. And original content outperformed filtering almost 10 to 1. That was the rise of Skywalker. So, and then you guys will get a kick out of that picture of the annual revenue chart.
So we went from booming to zero and then climbed out of the hole, almost died.
Yes.
And then ended up with a $47 million year last year.
Yes.
This year, we think, is going to be quite a bit bigger.
Yeah, we started in 2013. We almost died in 2014, except some investors stepped up to help us rebuild the product after everything got shut down on us. Then we almost died again in 2017 when everything got shut down on us. And now you can see what's happened is we're seeing parabolic growth because of the original content. But if you'll remember, the original vision of the brothers was we wanted to build this product to attract a group of people and then be able to launch content to them better than Hollywood can. So the totals on VidAngel Inc. investments have been $13.6 million, and revenue through the end of last year was $76.6 million. It's miraculous. So thank you for being there with us.
So the rebrand, we decided to change the name from VidAngel to Angel and leave VidAngel over to help with filtering. And Bill Aho, the former CEO of Clearplay, the godfather of filtering, who got the Family Movie Act, he bought VidAngel, and they're going to continue to run that business. And they gave us the shareholders agreed that was a good offer. So then we're rebranding ourselves to be Angel Studios, and this is to make VidAngel all about who helped us get through all those hard times and who is going to help all these creators build their own TV series and communities around shows. So VidAngel also, like during this process, we learned a couple of things about VidAngel. So we run what is called a stress test in branding. So for those of you that know, we also are partners at an ad agency called Harmon Brothers, and we do like Poopery, Squatty Potty, Purple, Chatbooks, Lumi, just tons of hugely successful viral campaigns. But like when we branded Purple, we run it through a stress test, the name. And during that test, you run it through 8 different stress points. One of those stress points is a word of mouth stress point. And the way we do this is you take and you send it out to like 100 samples of people and you say, read this name. And they read it out loud and they record it. And then you take those 100 samples and you randomly give it to 500 more people. And those 500 are told to write down the name that they hear the person read. And then that gives you an idea of what it's like if somebody, because like if you go back to the early days of Google, when I was a teenager, I always called it Goggle because no one ever told me how it was supposed to be said. So I'd say Goggle, go to Goggle. That Goggle does a good job of finding stuff. And so
I struggled to spell it.
Yeah. And people struggle to spell it. But if you run a stress test, you would end up with a whole bunch of people writing Goggle instead of Google. But eventually they overcame that. But when you're doing the stress test, you learn about what your word of mouth is. So VidAngel had this glaring weakness in word of mouth. Only 58% of people that have a friend read it off of a website, then they write it down, end up writing down the right thing, VidAngel. And that's a problem for growing. And so we changed the name to Angel because it has a 95% success rate in word of mouth. And we tested a whole bunch of other different names, like tons of research. So and also Angel is a more more universal global term. Angel is a common
And the real thing that we decided, because we were deciding between two names, the reason we liked Angel is because Angel was named after all of you.
Yes, the crowd.
Yep.
Because we had another name that actually was equally good with word of mouth and everything, but it didn't. It was named after the art.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So the runner-up was, well, I won't even tell you because then some people might like it better, and I don't want you to even know it. But so the term angel was focused on the viewer and the person funding the art, while the other one was focused on the art itself. So,
and our heritage is that the viewer is fundamental to the creator, right?
Yeah.
That's, we fought that battle for power in the home. We thought that the authority should be in the home, and we still have that as a guiding principle.
Yes, and it's important for everybody to know that whoever invested in VidAngel, they are part of Angel Studios. Angel Studios is the original company that you invested in.
Yes.
The 8,000 investors that invested back in 2016.
Yep.
Those people invested in this company. VidAngel was sold off, and it now has different owners. But Angel Studios is owned by the people that invested. They invested back in 2016 for $3 a share, and you did. And now it's worth $8.90 a share in this round.
Yeah.
So it's almost 3x. And for those that didn't invest, don't worry. There's tons of growth possibility. We're at a $200 million valuation pre-money.
Yeah, 229, I think 227.
Yeah, $227 million valuation. So it's like a 4 point.
We did almost 50 million last year. So yeah. This is a deal. When we debated over this deal and talked to many people about the valuation, our goal was to come up with a very fair deal for those investors who are part of our company right now, and then those who will be coming in.
So we looked at like Netflix and Roku and a bunch of other media companies. And they have like 12x on revenue or 20x on revenue, and we went with somewhere between 4 and 5x.
Way more conservative.
More conservative. But we're also newer, and there's some different things to take into account. Like we have a settlement agreement with Disney that's a little restrictive.
And we also have to put in a disclaimer: we can't guarantee growth, as you know.
Yeah. You could lose all your money if you invest in this round. So the term angel connects to the past, but it's a common reference to people who support ventures. And then, so we acquired angelstudios.com. And then the brand story behind the logo is really important. So a year and a half ago, I went with my wife, Annie Ellie, we went to Ellis Island in New Jersey. It's in New Jersey. And we learned about the Statue of Liberty, and I was blown away because I didn't understand that the Statue of Liberty is the very first amazing crowdfunding story in recorded history. So Statue of Liberty, Frederick Bartholdi scrapes together enough money to build this hand, and he sticks it up in parks in Paris. Everybody knows the French gave us the Statue of Liberty. What they don't realize, most people don't realize, is that it was the French people who gave it to us, not the French government. So he goes and sticks up this hand, and then he takes his black and white photography machine, and it was very new version of it. And he goes into these parks. You can go back, please. Okay. He goes into these parks and he crowdfunds $14 million in today's money over about a decade. Adjusted for inflation, is about $14 million. Then you go ahead and he used what we would call perks today in like Kickstarter world or Angel Studios world or any like the portal. And so he gave away like decorative ribbons, souvenir napkin rings, metal bust, deed to a gift, these little perks that he gave for people who helped fund the statue. But this was a decade. Then a guy named Pulitzer, who ran the World magazine, and everybody knows him because the Pulitzer is a very famous prize now for journalism, he just said, I will put the name of everybody who donates to the Statue of Liberty in their name in the front page of my newspaper the next day. And so he quickly, in a matter of months, finished funding the Statue of Liberty, the bottom half, the pedestal. That was the Americans' job to fund. which was about half of the cost. And he created, like you can see in the newspaper, he had a drawing of the Statue of Liberty, all the names, and then he had like a little amount of how much they had raised to that point. And so they funded in a few months. So let's go ahead and show the brand. Okay, so the brand, I'll let you watch it. If you look at this, what we've done is everything is derived from the Statue of Liberty. So you have the behind it, there is the skirts of the Statue of Liberty. And you can just let this replay, Ali, while I explain it. The skirts of the Statue of Liberty, maybe if the sound's too bad, pause it, because, yeah, we should probably pause it. So you can see the skirts of the Statue of Liberty, and then at the end of it, the spotlights, when they're going out, the negative space in the spotlights creates the crown of the Statue of Liberty. So you have movie spotlights with the crown. And then you have the halo, the shape of the logo of the angel word is the halo of the Statue of Liberty holding the crown. And then you have copper oxide in the background and then copper foil in the foreground. And so you have this, every single element of this logo is derived from the Statue of Liberty. And then the music is also 3 notes from deep inside of the song, My Country 'Tis of Thee, which nobody will recognize unless they're mavens and understand like the deepness. But it's a multi-layered logo. It's a beautiful logo for the opening of a movie. And if you understand it deeply enough, then you begin to understand how it connects into our story. So each creator that comes to fund a project with the angel funding portal, each creator has to bring their own torch. So they have to scrounge together enough money to make a torch. And a torch means a pilot or a short film.
Like The Shepherd for Dallas.
Yeah, The Shepherd for Dallas.
Yep.
They don't have to be expensive. All they need to do is help the crowd understand that the creator is a good storyteller and knows how to pull it together. And the struggle of doing that makes these projects much better. So then we take it to the crowd, or the creator takes it to the crowd, and they ask people, do you want to fund my series? So Dallas Jenkins did this with The Chosen. He went to the crowd and he said, would you like to fund it? And 19,000 of you came together and funded season 1 for $10 million with The Chosen. And so that is another symbol of the Statue of Liberty, is they have to bring their torch in order to raise money with the crowd. Then the next part, Neal will explain the deeper symbolism of a North Star, because the Statue of Liberty also, if you know, Ellis Island is the home of where immigrants show up to the United States. Mm-hmm. And so, their mass immigration happened in the 1800s and early 1900s. And so what we're doing is we're saying, this is the home of the outcasts. Bring us your tired, you're poor, you're
yearning to breathe free.
And we're the home of the outcasts from Hollywood. Yeah. Not just the outcasts, but the outcasts that are really high quality creators.
Thank you. So the next thing that we wanted to discuss was our North Star, what our viewers, creators, and investors aspire to. And the first, why do we need a North Star? So this chart that I'm going to show you, some of you have seen before, this is the history of swearing in Hollywood. And things have changed over the 100 years that Hollywood's been making movies. We've gone from making movies like one of my favorite movies of all time, It's a Wonderful Life, to making movies like Wolf of Wall Street. So the question is, how do we chart a course for a better future as a studio? The Hollywood made really, really great content for 100 years, but they slowly lost touch. So how do we prevent that from happening for our studio? Well, it's by establishing a North Star. So this next slide is our North Star, which is to be part of stories that matter. And how do we define stories that matter? we pull it from Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, honorable, just, pure, commendable, excellent, or worthy of praise. That is our North Star. The next slide is, how does VidAngel stay fixed on our North Star? So there are three things that we're building into the fabric of this company in order to stay on track. The first one is that the viewer decides what gets the chance to be funded. There'll be more details about this in the future, but there's going to be basically a North Star jury where you, the viewers, get to decide whether a pilot matches the North Star and whether the pilot is really good, that you want to see it made. The second thing is the viewer gets to decide what is made by supporting their favorites with an investment. So in both of those instances, it's the viewer who gets to decide what's made and whether it gets the chance to be funded. And then the last thing is that the viewer, we're always going to honor the fact that the viewer should have the ability to skip anything that they choose or find objectionable in the future, and that we send that information back to the creators. Those three things will help us maintain our North Star. And then our vision is to become the home of stories that amplify light. So again, be part of stories that matter, whatever is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellent, or worthy of praise. The final section that we wanted to go over before we get into questions.
The company's only as good as a team.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So those behind the scenes supporting you are angels. So you guys are the most important, but our team is critically important as well to support you. So you know us. You may know that we co-founded Orabrush, pioneered web video marketing, and created the Harmon Brothers ad agency. Our agencies have generated over 1 billion views and hundreds of millions in sales. We created Angel Studios because it solves a problem that we wanted solved for our own families. And this next slide, we'll just go over briefly different members of the team. This is just kind of a sample of the members of the team to just get a flavor. Liz Ellis is the glue. Some of you have met her before on the live stream. And we call her our Chief Heart Officer. Avinash Tripathi is a very successful entrepreneur, and he's our Chief Product Officer. He's scaled an app to over 3 billion installs. Our Chief Distribution Officer, Brad Pello, has tons of experience. You guys might be familiar with the Chosen Christmas special. He helped produce that, and he's got an amazing career. We're so fortunate to have him. Ajay Maddock just joined us, and he's a distinguished scholar at Stanford's MEDIAX, and he has his history is incredible. The number of people who are coming to us right now with amazing abilities who want to help us build the home of stories that amplify light is really, it's just astounding. There's a couple other here, Luis Laffey, who helps us with all the translations that you see of the Chosen, particularly the dubbing.
In like 9 languages or 10 languages or something.
Dubbing.
Yeah.
And then 100 languages, subtitles. And then Cordilla just joined us as well. All the rest of the team you can see there on the website, and you can learn more about our team and details. So we've rebranded the company. We've had we've had an amazing history as a company. It's been miraculous. And we've rebranded to fit what we're going to be in the future. We've built an amazing team, and we're focused on a North Star that's going to, we believe, fill the fundamental human need for hope and light when things are hard around us in life. And we invite you to join us. You can go to investinangel.com to learn more,
the bottom.
And then go down to the very, very, very bottom and post your questions, and then we'll start answering questions here. Do we have any questions ready from the page, or should I bring it up here?
Yeah, let's see. So the page, they're not on the page yet, but we're getting piped through right now.
Okay.
So let's start with this one.
Okay.
Does backing the project buy us more shares, or does backing the project give you a better chance that our existing shares will increase in value, but that we are limited to the shares we already had in VidAngel? Okay, it sounds like they're restating it.
Yeah.
Restated. When Angel Studios Inc. makes a profit, does it not mean that you'll receive a dividend or portion of the profits? Angel Studios intends to reinvest profits into reaching a larger audience and into improving its technologies for the foreseeable future. If Angel Studios continues to grow, then your share of Angel Studios Inc. should continue to grow.
So
Sounds like that's
restate
maybe
that.
a
Restate
translation
that,
issue
Neal,
here.
because they're not.
Yeah,
clear.
I'm going to restate the question here. So, so does backing the project buy us more shares? The answer is yes. Then the second question is, does backing the project just give you a better chance? The answer is yes and no. Yes, that it does give you a better chance. No, that it's not just. You're buying additional shares. Are we limited to the shares we already had in VidAngel? No. Great. So I think I answered the question for Justin Elliott.
At this round, the value of anybody who invested in 2016 is now almost 3x of what it was in 2016. So we've gone down in value after the injunction and Disney lawsuit, and we're back up and way up. So
great question.
Yeah, good questions.
Okay, we're getting a few more pipes through, so give me just a moment here.
Okay.
Okay, second question. If I purchase shares in VidAngel 2016, are those now also shares in Angel Studios?
The answer is yes. If you purchase shares in 2016, those are the same shares that are now Angel Studios. In fact, very literally, VidAngel Inc. was just renamed as Angel Studios Inc. All the shareholders stayed the same and the assets stayed the same, except for the fact that we sold the filtering assets so that the filtering company could be very focused and the Angel Studios could be very focused on our prospective businesses.
Yep. And even like the channel right now is VidAngel. That's going to stay the filtering systems channel.
Yep.
And we have a new channel for Angel Studios. And we're just making sure to use both channels for the live stream to make sure that there's no confusion as we move forward. But in the future, we won't be doing Angel Studios live streams after this first transition outside of the new channels.
Yep.
So the next question is for me, and it's, do you want to show the pitch video? That's something we can show them if you want to.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't show you the pitch video. We were going to show you that right after the branding discussion. So let's go ahead and pull up that pitch video, and then you guys can go and ask your questions while this pitch video is playing for those who haven't seen it.
Investinangel.com is where you can ask the questions at the bottom.
Hollywood has been controlling what we watch for the last 100 years. And who approves every cookie-cutter rom-com, superhero flick, and reality show? Only a handful of Hollywood executives. A handful's all you need. Handful's all you need. That means Green Lantern was greenlit by fewer people than actually liked Green Lantern. We liked Green Lantern. It was okay. If I wanted to have billions of dollars spent by a small group of old white guys on stuff I don't need, I'd pay my taxes. And sure, Hollywood makes some great stuff. I love The Mandalorian as much as anyone, but Hollywood produces over 1,500 movies and TV shows a year. That means for every one Baby Yoda, Hollywood makes 400 new Housewives of Atlanta. And that is not the way. Hollywood has no idea what type of content actually matters to you. 80% of Hollywood movies fail because they don't have a soul.
What's a soul?
Sold mine years ago. How many new movies did you watch last year that left you feeling empty? A business model that fails you 80% of the time is just guessing. If doctors had an 80% failure rate, you'd call them chiropractors. Hollywood can't know what you want because they're not you. So, for the first time ever, there's a way to create high-quality TV and film without the Hollywood guesswork. And the best part? The content is chosen by the greatest executives of all time. You. It's called Angel Studios, the film studio that only creates the content you choose. Go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an investor today. You are the best decision makers when it comes to film and TV. For example, 19,000 of you as angel investors wanted a TV series with a historically accurate depiction of Jesus. So you invested over $10 million to produce The Chosen, which became a smash hit, being viewed over 100 million times, generating over $30 million in revenue with season 2 in production. 19,000 of you decided to make that happen. For context, a dozen people decided to make Cats happen. So, and what's even more amazing than The Chosen's financial success is how compelling it is as a TV show. With 12,000 positive reviews on IMDb and a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, The Chosen isn't just good as an idea, it's just good. You angel investors are better at choosing successful projects than Hollywood. Almost 8,000 of you helped create Dry Bar Comedy, which is now the largest online library of stand-up comedy. Dry Bar Comedy is now on XM Radio, cable TV, and Peacock, and it gets over 1 billion views per year. Thousands of angel investors raised over $1 million to fund the Tuttle Twins, the most crowd-funded kids cartoon in U.S. history. And the accompanying Tuttle Twins books have sold over 2 million copies. And most recently, fans of Studio C raised over $1 million for Freelancers, which is the epic story chronicling millennials' greatest challenge, trying to find a job. Ooh, he's hot. Oh, he knows. Angel Studios has produced content that makes a lot of money, but more importantly, it's content that feeds the soul. After watching The Chosen, John said, "I've never felt more connected to Jesus and his disciples than I did watching The Chosen." A fan of Dry Bar Comedy wrote, "I suffer from depression, and the pandemic has only made it worse. You made me laugh. I haven't laughed like that in years." And after watching the Emoji Movie, we all said, "Yuck." So, if you want to create the platform that produces incredible content that you actually want to watch, invest in Angel Studios at investinangel.com. Last year, Angel Studios made revenues of $47 million. And with your help, we think we can make a lot more. You can become an angel investor for just $8.90 a share. That's the same amount of money I'll pay you to stop supporting The Bachelor. There's been 24 seasons and 1 successful marriage. It's a broken model, people. Potential investment will do 4 things: build the Angel streaming app, expand the crowdfunding platform, market to new audiences, and banish Hollywood execs to purgatory. Suckers were already there! Joke's on him. As an angel investor, when we win, you win. And with our existing 30,000 angel investors, that's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. As with all investment, we recommend you only invest as much as you're willing to lose. But if you had invested with us in round 1 back in 2016, your investment would already be worth almost 3x. But if you missed out on 300% growth, don't fret. There is even bigger potential in round 2. Each year, movies and TV make over $280 billion, and that's before you count merchandise and box office. And we're not allowed to legally speculate on growth, but I'm going to point at this and wink at you. Angel Studios is your chance to transform the next generation of TV and film with content that matters, while giving yourself the opportunity to make a lot of money. Making money while doing good in the world? What is this, the opposite of paying taxes? It is. So go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an angel investor today. What are you waiting for, you big film producer? The best stuff we'll ever watch is waiting for you to make it. Angel Studios. Be part of stories that matter.
All right. We need to first, before we get into more questions, we need to thank a few people. We've got investments coming in right now. Clinton from Arizona invested $890. Brandon from Virginia invested $204. Deborah from Texas invested $1,005. Thomas from Georgia invested $5,001. Thank you, Thomas from Georgia. Mark from Utah invested $2,002. Jonathan from Idaho, $5,001. And Ryan from Utah, wow, $8,900. Ira from Utah just invested $22,250. Thank you, Ira.
Yeah. The one thing to know is that the maximum we can raise on this is $5 million
By the law.
Yeah, by law. For this round, that's the cap. It's $5 million.
Yeah.
So we just got another. Casey from Texas just invested $9,122. Bard from Utah invested $1,504.
Wow, guys, this is exciting. So thank you for getting behind this. We're so grateful to you. We're going to build the home of stories that amplify light together.
And if you're just new coming in, you can ask questions about investment at investinangel.com. Go to the bottom. There's a question section. So investinangel.com. And then you go down to the bottom and there's a question section. And those are the questions we can answer. Any questions asked in the, if you caught us on YouTube, you need to go over there to ask.
Carl from South Dakota, $4,450. Do you have another question ready here?
Question here. At the $8.90 share price for the offering, what is the pre-money equity valuation? Do you have that?
That's such a great question. So the question was, at $8.90, what is the pre-money valuation? I don't have the exact number, but I know it's about $227 million. So that's,
And that's based on, we went through a process to figure out how to get asked a lot of advice from advisors, how to get to a price point that's fair. So usually a startup company ranks their valuation based on what they call multiple of revenue. So if you go and you look at Netflix or Roku or Disney.
Yeah, Roku I think is a 22 multiple. Netflix is about 10 or 11 when we checked it. Yeah,
I think they may be up from there because the market's gone nuts. But so it's multiple of revenue, and we're at between a 4 and a 5 multiple because we did $47.2 million last year. So we consider that a pretty fair offer.
We're still early stage.
Yeah,
we're very, very excited.
Compared to Netflix is worth $250 billion or $248 billion. I checked the other day. It was worth something like that. So you can look it up don't just take anything we say. You got to look at the documents.
And again, only invest money you can afford to lose.
Yep.
And we can't guarantee that there'll be growth, as you guys know, because our growth went to 0 back in 2017, and we can't tell the future. We're very, very excited and bullish on the current business because this is our content. This is your content, our content. And so we get to spread these stories and nobody else can tell us whether we can do it.
Dan from Washington invested $1,005. Thank you, Dan. So there's another thing about that has made us be able to be successful with this is for example, when Chosen's a different company, Chosen LLC, they took on 19,000 investors to do their show. So when that show makes money, the distributor, which is Angel Studios, can make money that way. If it makes money, I guess. Technically, they're still making revenues, but they're reinvesting everything. So it's got to be if. But so Angel Studios is the distributor, and they make money, and then their investors make money if they make money. So but in Hollywood, if you go get a big hit TV series, The Chosen has almost some of the highest ratings on IMDb that we've ever seen. It has a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes at this moment. Now there aren't that many critics that have reviewed it yet.
I think there's 8.
Yeah, 8, but it's still a perfect score, which is pretty impressive for a movie about Jesus or a series about Jesus. And so, but what happens is that in Hollywood, all the movies are tied up in all these contorted contracts that make it impossible not impossible, but very difficult for innovative business models to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And because we partnered with The Chosen and as their distributor, and they're very flexible in working with us, we've been able to just innovate to where we got to brand new models that allow us to offer The Chosen for free around the world and earn the money through a pay it forward model, through merchandising, through all different types of.
The Chosen season 1 is now distributed in Walmart in about 3,600 stores.
Yes, that's right. It's DVDs in Walmart. So there's all these different ways to. If you look back in the day, George Lucas, he told Fox. This is how I understand the story, is that he told Fox, "You guys can have all the distribution rights. I just want all the merchandise rights." And that ended up being a very smart move because merchandising makes a lot more money on family movies as a whole than the actual movie sales themselves. So we're saying, well, rather than giving Fox all the distribution rights, why don't we just give it away for free and give essentially all the customers or the viewers the rights just to share it with all their friends for free, and they become the distributors. And then the film will make its money off of what we call pay it forwards or merchandising or DVD sales and Blu-ray sales. And that's how The Chosen currently is making its money. Dry Bar Comedy also has been able to innovate on tipping models and totally different models, because that's what we needed. We needed good, high quality content that can take a totally different route than anything that's ever been done in Hollywood. Let's shout out a few more names.
Yeah, Adam from Washington, $151. Thank you, Adam. David from Oklahoma, $507. Thank you, David. Andy from Washington, $890. This is great, guys. We appreciate your support. You got another question?
Okay, next question here is, what is the investment horizon here? How and when can investors expect liquidity opportunities? If you want to see just lawyers' notes on this as they come in, I can point these out here for you.
Okay. That's a great question. So what's the liquidity opportunity for our shares? So our goal is to provide a way for there to be liquidity for investors. It could be done in a number of ways. We filed an offering with the SEC last year that we have not completed because of the VidAngel transaction. So we haven't finished that offering. We have to update it. But in that offering, there was a provision that allowed the board to buy back shares from the investors up to 50% of your shares per year. So that you can look at the filings and see that option is there. And just know we put on public record that that's our desire, is to create a way for liquidity.
We're working on ways.
Right? Yep. There's a couple other ways that liquidity could be provided. So under Reg A, which is the law that we offered our
Regulation A+.
Yeah, Regulation A.
Otherwise, it sounds like you're talking about Bob Marley music.
Yeah, we use I too much industry lingo here, but this is a provision
you
under the
Jobs Act.
Act.
Finance guys, and they're all like, with a Reg A offering, and outsiders like, what? What are you talking about, Bob Marley?
Yeah.
That kind of Reg A offering doesn't sound legal.
So back in 2016, when we raised that money, that law requires that the company go public within a couple years after it reaches a certain amount of revenue. At the time, it was 50 million. I don't know if the law has been updated, but we plan to provide a way for liquidity for investors. And just know that we're working on that and working on options for that to happen.
If the company goes public, that's a liquidity event.
If it goes public and lists on a stock exchange, yes then it's an
so
event.
David from Oklahoma invested $507. Adam from Washington invested $151. Nathan from Massachusetts. Maine. Oh, is it Maine or Massachusetts?
Good question.
Good question.
We
don't know our
MA is it's Massachusetts.
Okay, so I was right. Oh, good. $1,014.
Maine is ME, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Eric from Utah invested $507. And we probably have more questions.
Yep. Next question here is, can you give us a sense of how much in the way of potential content projects are in the pipeline and the experience of the creators? And just the one lawyer's note we've got on that is we can't necessarily go into anybody who hasn't raised any money yet.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't leave us much to say.
There's a bunch of stuff coming down the pipe. That's all we can say.
We could just describe, there's some creators who have created a hit, like a record-breaking show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
There are creators who have done.
We're in talks. They're not all going. For sure. But there are more creators approaching us right now than we have time to watch ourselves. This is why we came up with this idea for a film jury.
Yeah.
That would help us weed out the garbage, because we just don't have time to watch everything. And then we were like, why don't we just let the crowd decide what we're willing to distribute?
Yes.
Rather than ourselves. And
then we decided to put that into like the fabric of the company where we can't make the decision, where we have to let the crowd do it.
And when I say creators are approaching us, they want us to distribute. They're saying, how do we do what The Chosen does? And then we refer them over to the portal, which is run by another guy named Fred Pena. That's a regulated thing. And so the portal where you're investing, we say, hey, if you're interested in crowdfunding, you need to go talk to this team, which is a separate company. But they come in, the creators come in, and they're just, it's like, I mean, today we just talked to a guy that's produced several movies in LA. And
he flew here to Utah just specifically to meet with us.
Yeah, drove down and met with us. We talked to a guy last week that flew in from New York that's been in Hollywood for a long time. I talked to an executive producer in Canada the other day that had just done a huge Netflix show.
We just signed a deal with a place that was on the shelves for Random House with a great book series. So,
but
great things
you're
happening.
Going to see them.
Yep.
And I guess we can't. Fred,
we can't give you names.
If you're watching, tell us if we're stepping over even already. But we can correct ourselves. So here's a bunch more. Jeremy from Ohio invested $498. Jesse from Florida invested $10,003. Dell from Colorado invested $5,001.
Wow.
Brad from Washington invested $507. And Eric from California invested $9,790. And Jeff from Utah invested $1,005. That's not
couldn't
me.
have been you.
I can't do that here. So more questions?
Just an update so the website caching is catching up. It looks like that passes us about $300,000.
We're almost to 300.
300.
We just pass it.
The counter backed off a little bit. Maybe we can get an official count.
Maybe we got a cancellation because sometimes people make a mistake and they cancel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question here is, who do we have to talk to potentially invest in VidAngel? And that's from Kenton Allred.
You'd have to talk to Bill Aho.
Yeah, you can contact support@vidangel.com for any questions that you have for the VidAngel filtering company. And you can ask them about that. I've heard them say previously that they weren't taking investment, but go ahead and ask them.
Okay. Ken Varga asks, what is the total number of shares you are trying to sell at this time? And what is the estimated number of shares that will be held by outside investors after this round?
So it's $5 million of shares at $8.90 a share. So
it's around 500,000 shares.
I grew up with computers, so I can't do it in my head.
It's a little over 500,000 shares. And right now we have a little over 23 million shares in the company.
And then how many of those are owned by investors versus?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
good
all
questions.
they're
Those
all
are good
they're all
questions.
owned by investors.
Yeah.
But
it just depends on when they came in. So Neal and I came in at the beginning, and we put in
$100,000
$100 and something grand at the
Yep.
beginning, and then we had Alta Ventures and
Kickstart.
Seed Fund put in $600,000, and then Warren Osborne came in later, and
there was just shy of 3 million that round, and then there was the $10 million round in 2016
with 8,000 of you as well. So
Yep.
That's the group. It just depends on when you came in and what the price of the company was at the time.
Yep.
So we had a question from a John R. If John R. is listening, you need to resubmit your question, but it was roughly about, besides helping with good content, what are some other things that investors might consider with investing in Angel Studios?
Besides good content?
Besides good content.
I'm not sure I understood the question. Can we repeat it one more time?
Our team, I think that's a good question. Our team, we're a tech company. We just brought on Abhinash.
Yep.
Why don't you explain some of the stuff Abhinash has done in the past?
Yeah, so Abhinash just joined the team as Chief Product Officer, and he is leading up the development of our technology. He's from India originally. He came to the U.S. to study, and then he started at Oracle and worked for somebody that worked for Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle. And then he
invented MMS messaging.
Yeah, he invented MMS.
That's whenever you send a picture, like multimedia over text messages. He invented that. Yep.
He built a company called Zimbra, which sold to Yahoo. He built a company called HelpShift, which raised over $50 million and is installed on over 3 billion devices. He's the chairman of the board at that company. And now he has joined our team as the chief product officer. And currently, he and the team are trying to prepare for the launch of season 2 of The Chosen. And if I remember correctly, their goal right now is to get it to where that our service can accept about 16 million requests per minute. And that's what they're working on.
That's to make sure they can handle millions of viewers.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, just an incredible technology leader. For the time he's been here, we've just loved working with him. And there are other members of the team coming right now to help us build out this technology. So
yeah. So for example, Ajay, another guy that you'll see on the website, he's just coming on board the end of the month.
Yep. Or next week.
He just accepted next week. Yes. So he is looking at ways to make sure that we have an independent system.
Yep.
So that
it can't be gamed.
It can't be canceled.
It can't be. Yeah. It can't. Yep. And he's also making sure that that the jury is implemented properly, and other technologies around creating liquidity for those who invest in Angel and those who invest in our projects. So he's going to be coming to work on those projects.
Let's list off a few more. John from Utah invested $400.
Boydeen
from Utah invested
$10,235. I hope we didn't slaughter your name, but thank you, Boydeen.
Cindy from Oregon invested $302, and David from Texas invested $258. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, David and Cindy.
Okay, questions maybe wrapping down here. One that we've seen in a couple iterations, but maybe we ask a little bit more directly. When and how could I sell my current and future shares? It gets to the liquidity horizon, but if there were an investor right now that wanted to sell shares, maybe that kind of addressed what Dale's asking there.
So the question is when can I sell my shares? And I cannot answer that question. All I can say is that there's
a lot of regulation.
There's a lot of laws around that. And if I try to answer that question, I'm going to likely break a law.
For sure in the future, for sure and if don't go together. If in the future we go IPO and list on a stock exchange, which there are some rules around having to do that after a certain point, which we're hoping to be able to do an IPO in, what is it, like 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah,
that's a hope.
That would
be a liquidity event.
Yep.
The other thing we're just asking attorneys and trying to understand from SEC guys that
whether we can create a way for shareholders who want bought out to be bought out by those who want more
to buy more. So, but we have no idea how that's going to work yet. We're just asking questions, trying to figure it out. But it's a very regulated space. So we'll get there eventually, I think. And so that's a great question.
Yep. Teresa from North Carolina invested $320. Thank you, Teresa.
I should say,
Teresa.
The reason why I said I think that we'll get there eventually is because I suppose if we went out of business, then everybody's shares go to zero.
Yeah.
But as long as we stay successful, we'll get there eventually.
Okay, a bit of a longer question here, and maybe one of our last ones. So Kenny Cottrell asks, if I understood correctly, every project that gets backed is an offering in additional shares in the company, which sounds like it will potentially be quite dilutive to the existing shares. Is there anything in the structure of these offerings that protects the equity of the original investors from dilution? Is there anything that would be published indicating the expected amounts of shares that will be offered in the near term? There is a note from our lawyer here if you want to just take a look at that one real quick.
I know the answer to this question.
He's a compliance officer.
So
you can say lawyer.
But he's a compliance officer.
He's a compliance
portal.
So the question was, do all the purchases of shares in all these media projects like The Chosen and Dry Bar and The Shift and others that will be coming, do they dilute the Angel Studios Inc. investors? The answer is no,
It's a great question, though.
but it's a good question.
So Angel Studios is a platform for distribution of this content. So it makes money by helping these projects make money.
Yep.
But each project is its own company. There are a whole bunch of different companies. This is the way movies are done in Hollywood as well, is they create new companies for all these different projects. Now, they usually own the companies. In this case, rather than Netflix owning it,
The Angels own it.
Angels own it.
Yep.
So, or at least they own big chunks of it.
Yeah.
And so each film has its own ownership block. And when that film becomes profitable, or if it becomes profitable on Angel Studios, both Angel Studios and that film win.
And the
That's different
Angels
companies.
behind that film eventually win as well.
We've got some
Fred from California invested $5,001. Thank you, Fred. Jonathan from California invested $507. California's coming through for us right now. Dennis from Texas invested $4,005. Thank you.
So another question. Go ahead.
This is the last question we have for right now, and I'll let you see the note after I read it from the compliance officer. Does Angel Studios have exclusive rights with its content creators? That's from Ankur Chopra.
Yeah, that's a great question. Fred says they should. Okay.
We're just reading what the compliance.
Yeah, we're
guy
just
says.
so the rights vary from project to project, but we are as Angel Studios, we're targeting two categories of projects. One category is an Angel original, and then another category are self-serve. And the self-serve ones and the Angel originals are a different set of rights, and it's a different strategy. The originals, we put all of our marketing muscle behind them, and we assist them in distributing everything around the project if they choose to give us those rights. And so, but that's the goal. On an Angel original, we're going all in, and we're going to help it get into Walmart, to sell online,
We're going to try.
Yeah.
With everyone,
we're going to help them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So whether or not we succeed is still a question, but that's
the current plan.
That's the current plan for an original. And then self-serve, we would just take the right. So the self-serve is where they raise the money themselves and they distribute it themselves. And then we just have a license for it to be shown.
And they use our technology tools to help get it out.
Yeah. And the self-serve one is going to require more effort, more technological investments, so that we can support people coming in on their own. And we're not ready for that yet.
That's part of why we're raising
That's right.
capital.
That's right.
There's also, I was just going to say, now I can't remember. Go ahead.
That's fine. So the answer is it varies, but around the Angel originals, there are some exclusive rights, and around the self-serve, there are not. And so that's kind of the buckets, but there can be variations inside of those depending on a specific project's needs.
So Kurt from Utah invested $151. Gangadhar from New Jersey. Sorry, we slaughtered your name. $1,005. James from Utah invested $1,005. Mackenzie from Texas invested $160. And there's a lot of new people on the stream. So maybe if we show the video with Matt again, but while we're showing the video, you can ask questions at investinangel.com and go to the bottom, and there's a question area where you can just ask away, and we can answer those questions for you.
Yep.
Hollywood has been controlling what we watch for the last 100 years. And who approves every cookie-cutter rom-com, superhero flick, and reality show? Only a handful of Hollywood executives. A handful's all you need. Handful's all you need. That means Green Lantern was greenlit by fewer people than actually liked Green Lantern. We liked Green Lantern. It was okay. If I wanted to have billions of dollars spent by a small group of old white guys on stuff I don't need, I'd pay my taxes. And sure, Hollywood makes some great stuff. I love The Mandalorian as much as anyone, but Hollywood produces over 1,500 movies and TV shows a year. That means for every one Baby Yoda, Hollywood makes 400 new Housewives of Atlanta. And that is not the way. Hollywood has no idea what type of content actually matters to you. 80% of Hollywood movies fail because they don't have a soul.
What's a soul?
Sold mine years ago. How many new movies did you watch last year that left you feeling empty? A business model that fails you 80% of the time is just guessing. If doctors had an 80% failure rate, you'd call them chiropractors. Hollywood can't know what you want because they're not you. So, for the first time ever, there's a way to create high-quality TV and film without the Hollywood guesswork. And the best part? The content is chosen by the greatest executives of all time. You. It's called Angel Studios, the film studio that only creates the content you choose. Go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an investor today. You are the best decision makers when it comes to film and TV. For example, 19,000 of you as angel investors wanted a TV series with a historically accurate depiction of Jesus. So you invested over $10 million to produce The Chosen, which became a smash hit, being viewed over 100 million times, generating over $30 million in revenue with season 2 in production. 19,000 of you decided to make that happen. For context, a dozen people decided to make Cats happen. So, and what's even more amazing than The Chosen's financial success is how compelling it is as a TV show. With 12,000 positive reviews on IMDb and a 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, The Chosen isn't just good as an idea, it's just good. You angel investors are better at choosing successful projects than Hollywood. Almost 8,000 of you helped create Dry Bar Comedy, which is now the largest online library of stand-up comedy. Dry Bar Comedy is now on XM Radio, cable TV, and Peacock, and it gets over 1 billion views per year. Thousands of angel investors raised over $1 million to fund the Tuttle Twins, the most crowd-funded kids cartoon in U.S. history. And the accompanying Tuttle Twins books have sold over 2 million copies. And most recently, fans of Studio C raised over $1 million for Freelancers, which is the epic story chronicling millennials' greatest challenge, trying to find a job.
Ooh, he's hot.
Oh, he knows. Angel Studios has produced content that makes a lot of money, but more importantly, it's content that feeds the soul. After watching The Chosen, John said, "I've never felt more connected to Jesus and his disciples than I did watching The Chosen." A fan of Dry Bar Comedy wrote, "I suffer from depression, and the pandemic has only made it worse. You made me laugh. I haven't laughed like that in years." And after watching the Emoji Movie, we all said, "Yuck." So, if you want to create the platform that produces incredible content that you actually want to watch, invest in Angel Studios at investinangel.com. Last year, Angel Studios made revenues of $47 million. And with your help, we think we can make a lot more. You can become an angel investor for just $8.90 a share. That's the same amount of money I'll pay you to stop supporting The Bachelor. There's been 24 seasons and 1 successful marriage. It's a broken model, people. Potential investment will do 4 things. Build the Angel streaming app, expand the crowdfunding platform, market to new audiences, and banish Hollywood execs to purgatory.
Suckers were already there.
Joke's on him. As an angel investor, when we win, you win. And with our existing 30,000 angel investors, that's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. As with all investment, we recommend you only invest as much as you're willing to lose. But if you had invested with us in round 1 back in 2016, your investment would already be worth almost 3x. But if you missed out on 300% growth, don't fret. There is even bigger potential in round 2. Each year, movies and TV make over $280 billion, and that's before you count merchandise and box office. And we're not allowed to legally speculate on growth, but I'm going to point at this and wink at you. Angel Studios is your chance to transform the next generation of TV and film with content that matters, while giving yourself the opportunity to make a lot of money. Making money while doing good in the world? What is this, the opposite of paying taxes? It is. So go to investinangel.com to learn how to become an angel investor today. What are you waiting for, you big film producer? The best stuff we'll ever watch is waiting for you to make it. Angel Studios. Be part of stories that matter.
Okay, so we're back. If you want to ask questions, you go to investinangel.com. And it's at the bottom of the page, you can ask questions. So a couple of investments that came in. Julian from Virginia invested $1,068. Ken from California invested $29,672. Wow. Aaron from Utah invested $507. Kevin from Utah invested $258. Sherry from Michigan invested $507. Brett from Utah invested $507. And Ryan from Nevada invested $507. Thank you. We're up to, what are we up to?
We're over 370,000, I think.
So this title's updating. We're 366 right now.
Oh, 366. 366.
Yeah. Every once in a while, there's an accidental investment. But
yeah, and there's a caching mechanism on the page, so it takes some time for some things to come through. Just a story about the beginning of this company. So we first thought of starting what became VidAngel back in 2012 as a bunch of brothers. We were just discussing things when we were back at Orabrush, and we were playing around with ideas. And I went home and coded up a filtered version of Cinderella Man because I wanted my little son. I think he was 9 or 10 at the time. That was a long time ago. Now he's 18. Anyway, I wanted him to watch the scene in Cinderella Man where the father, who's the boxer, who's going through the Great Depression and he's struggling to feed his family. His son steals a salami, runs down the street. His father takes him back to the store. He gives back the salami, and he teaches him a lesson about honesty. And I wanted my son to see that lesson in that movie, but I didn't want him to pick up all the words that the coach of the boxer used. He was a New Yorker. And anyway, I coded this up, and Jeffrey helped me set the original filters. This was just an idea. We were just playing around. A year or so later, we really started getting serious about this idea because nobody was solving the problem, and we did a little bit of market research. But when it really came together for both of us was I had this experience where I could almost I had this experience where I could see that we would collect a group of people, and they'd be from all over the world, but they would be experiencing really good stories. And I shared this thought with Jeffrey that we could go and use the filtering to collect a group of people that's big enough that we could start launching content ourselves. And that's when Jeffrey got really excited about the idea.
That's when I wanted to get in.
Yeah.
Before that, I was just like, let's just go work on the ad agency and make a good living because we're very good at ads. We did Poopery, Squatty Potty, Purple Mattress, Lumi, chat books. We'd done all these really great ads, and before that, I was just kind of like, let's just keep doing that.
Yeah, and we were interested in making the product work for our own families, but we didn't really want to throw our heart and souls into a business unless we could see where it was going and it was something we wanted to do. And that's when we really got excited about it. So that was back in 2013 when we started VidAngel, and we planned on getting to 1 million paying users before we launched content, but Disney threw a wrench in that when they sued us. And we had a couple 100,000 people that were paying on a monthly basis at that time. We did 8 million that year, and we went to 0 because the judge sided with Disney. Big surprise in California. But the very night of the injunction that told us we had to stop, we were in this very building and we announced a studio, and we announced a stand-up comedy show, and here we are.
We had a friend that came up to us.
Yeah.
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Walked up after we announced Drive Our Comedy, and he said, Disney is going to regret the day that they shut you down because they just created their biggest competitor. I don't know if that will end up being true or not, but I hope so.
Yeah, we joke around that maybe the way that we end up getting filtering for Disney is by buying Disney. Again, this is an investor live stream. Your investments can go to 0. So don't invest any money except for what you can afford to lose.
But we believe we're betting. So we're expecting at least to spend the next decade and a half of our lives on this. So Netflix it's taken almost 3 decades. How long have they been around?
They've been around since 1998. So
1998.
they're little 2.5 decades.
2.5 decades to get to where they're at.
Yep.
We're
at 8. We're at 7 to 8 years.
7 to 8 years.
Yep.
So we're just getting started.
And what's exciting is that, we were at 200,000 people back when we were doing the filtering technology, but now we're talking about billions of views on Drybar, over 100 million views on The Chosen. And as you could see in our presentation earlier, that our revenues have a parabolic shape to them. So when you are able to tell the stories, the thing about the filtering is that it's really kind of just a Band-Aid, right? All it does is it allows you to skip a few things in a good story. But if the foundation of the story is not good, then what good does it do to filter it? And that's the real battle for the hearts and minds of people is in telling stories of light and of hope. And we're on such an incredible trajectory to do that.
Yeah. So Scott from California invested $5,001. Brad, do we have any more questions?
Yeah. Next question here comes from Spencer. Will you be aiming for theatrical releases or only on your new app?
So Spencer, thank you for that question. Spencer's question was, will we be aiming for theatrical releases or only in our app or apps?
We're experimenting with the theatrical release option right now. Mm-hmm. If the Shift is able to fund, mm-hmm. Brock Heasley is an incredible writer, and he's working on trying to fund.
His offering is live right now. If you click on the
go to angelstudios.com, you'll see his offering.
Yep.
And or angelstudios.com/the shift. And you can watch his pilot. He made it for like $800.
And it's incredible.
It's incredible for $800.
Right.
It tells you what he can do if he actually has a budget.
Yep.
And this is a film.
Yep.
So we're experimenting in that world. But that's an untested world. So we're not sure, but during the pandemic, it seems like the ones that actually have the courage to make stuff are doing very well.
Yeah.
So we have Taylor from Idaho invested $1,504, and John from Utah invested $222.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, John.
And a lot of people have been saying to us, they say, we just want to make sure that this isn't another PureFlix, right? So
we love PureFlix, by the way. We love PureFlix, by the way. They're good people.
Yeah, but a lot of people say, I don't need another PureFlix.
Yeah.
So how do we answer that?
Well, that's a really great question. So again, we talked earlier about the fact that we're going to stay really close to our North Star as a company, and we're going to do content around our North Star, but it's going to be the jury who decides whether something gets the chance to be funded. And they're going to be asked a couple of questions after they watch a pilot like Brock Heasley's. They'll be asked, do you want to see this made? Like, are you excited about what they've done? And you're going to have a vision for what they're capable of from their pilot. And then secondly, does this match the North Star? Is it something that's true, honorable, just, worthy of praise? There's a list of things there. Or does it conflict with that? And if it conflicts with it, then it's not going to make it through the jury. But if it doesn't, then it will get the chance to be funded. And those projects that get funded, only the ones that people have a vision for will actually reach their minimums. Those who don't reach their minimums, the money goes back to the angels, the investors. And those that do reach their minimums are able to go produce their content. And they're asking for budgets that will allow them to produce this content at a very high quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we love what PureFlix is doing. Sometimes it's a little bit more propaganda feeling, or like it's pushing its ideas.
Well, and I hate to use terms that, because I like PureFlix.
Like
I like a lot of shows.
Sometimes for faith, though.
Yeah. But it's a little bit like Hallmark. Like Hallmark has a certain feel to all the shows that are on there. They kind of go towards just kind of a touchy-feely, the heart audience, and they get a little heavy on drama.
And they're very focused on their audience.
Yes.
Just like this one core.
Yes.
Well, we're looking for stuff that has very broad appeal. So like The Chosen, our goal is to reach 1 billion people worldwide with The Chosen over the next 7 seasons, over all 7 seasons.
Yep.
Season 2 is releasing at Easter.
Yep.
And if we achieve our goal, then it will reach as many people as Game of Thrones did. So that's the goal. Make it the biggest show of all time because it's Jesus Christ. So it should be the biggest show. Anyway, that's
great questions. Keep them coming. Let's see. We've got Ryan from Ohio who invested $534. Roger from South Carolina invested $2,500. Thank you, Ryan and Roger.
We passed $375,000.
Woo! $375,000. And we just sent out the notice, what was it, around 5 o'clock? So it's a couple hours ago.
Yeah,
Good job.
What time did we actually send out the official launch email?
We
ran a couple of tests this morning, but it was just a few investments.
Threw open the gates at about 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
About 5.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's been 2.5 hours, and we've raised
$375,000.
Okay, next question here.
And we can only raise 5 million. That's all we can do. So once 5 million's full, that's it.
Yeah,
we have 30
days,
30 something days,
and we have a $5 million limit. Yeah.
Okay, question also from Spencer. Have you considered movies about inspiring historical figures similar to how you did The Chosen?
Oh, that's such a great question, Spencer.
I can tell you our dreams.
Yeah, we have dreams. Again, we're not the creators. We need to find creators who
are built for it.
Who are built for what we'd love to see in the world.
But we'd love to see a creator who has been born to do the revolutionary, the
founding period
of the United States.
Yep.
In a very honest, gritty, clear way of what it was actually like, and what their goals were and aspirations. And
forgiving as well, just that takes into account everything about what they went through.
Not the woke cancel culture version.
That's right.
So
we'd love to, one of our favorite filmmakers of all time is Frank Capra and It's a Wonderful Life, and that we think that there will be
multiple Frank Capras found through the system.
Yeah, and that the equivalent of It's Wonderful Life will be remade for the 21st century. We live in different times than back then, and we need similar stories to get us through.
Yeah, Frank Capra, he was an immigrant. He lived in, this is the director of It's a Wonderful Life,
mm-hmm.
and he was an immigrant from Italy. And speaking of the logo, angel logo, and how it's inspired by the Statue of Liberty, he came across when he was 7 years old, I think, to the United States with his dad. And he said that they came across on a boat. He said, this is what he wrote. He said, "You're all together. You have no privacy."
This is his dad.
No,
or
this is him.
Okay.
"You have a cot. Very few people have trunks or anything that takes up space. They just have what they can carry in their hands or in a bag. Nobody takes their clothes off. There's no ventilation, and it stinks like hell. They're all miserable. It's the most degrading place you could ever be." So that he came across for 2 weeks on a ship.
That's how he felt on the ship.
And then when they got out and they came up and they saw the Statue of Liberty, he said it was a statue of a great lady taller than a church steeple, holding a torch above the land we were about to enter. And his father said, "Siko, look at that. That's the greatest light since the Star of Bethlehem. That's the light of freedom. Remember that." So that kind of ties into the logo where we're saying, bring your torch as a creator.
Yep.
And then show it to the world, and then they'll fund you. And then we take it to the world and change the world with that content. There's a few more investments.
Kurt from Utah invested $2,002. Thank you, Kurt. Ryan from Ohio, $534. Thank you. We should mention Taylor from Idaho invested $1,500 or $1,504.
I'm sure we're missing some, and probably duplicating others.
So this is the last one we have right now. And it's a bit of a repeat, but good for some people we didn't have earlier. What potential opportunities will there be for investors to liquidate their investment? That's from Kenny.
Okay, Kenny. Yeah, we did answer this earlier, but we'll go ahead and answer it again. So our goal is to provide an opportunity for people to be able to liquidate. In fact, we just hired somebody this week who's one of their major jobs is to help us figure that out. Additionally, last year we filed with the SEC, and we had to postpone that raise because of the transaction involving the VidAngel filtering technology, which we mentioned earlier in this live stream. But in that raise, if you go look at the SEC documents, you'll see that we have a board plan in there to be able to repurchase shares from investors who would like to sell up to 50% of their shares. That's just another example of how we want to provide a way for you to get liquidity. The third thought that I have is simply under the law that we use to raise money from regular people like you and me. That law requires that when you reach a certain amount of revenue that you need to go public within 2 years. And so we are planning and hoping that process will happen in about 2 or 3 years. So there are different options that we're researching. We can't give specifics, but our goal is to provide a way for you to have liquidity.
Okay.
Somebody asked, this is not related to the investment, so I think I can, just somebody in chatter. Neal, I would be interested in what car you drive. Jed Ashford. He's an employee.
Oh, Jed. You're going to make me answer that on this live stream. So everybody makes fun of my car.
Neal drives
Maybe we'll
El
show
Guapo.
Yeah, it's called El Guapo, and it's this old 1994 Hyundai Excel, and it is a piece of junk. And on Father's Day, my kids surprised me, and they painted the entire car multicolored with all their names and all their friends on it. And if I had it ready, Ali would pop it up on the live stream. But there's actually a comedy special where one of the comedians went and pretended to paint this car as graffiti. And so
Neal wanted a cheap junker car because it's kind of low profile, but now he gets more looks than like if he's parked next to a Ferrari and stuff, because it's graffitied. But and then it's funny. It's everybody. Some of our board members are like, Neal,
he says, I have cars at my house. Come over to my house.
Come
over to my house. Get a car. Take it home.
So maybe that's your biggest risk of investment is that Neal dies in El Guapo.
Just to be clear, I only drive that car to work, which is like 2 miles away and 25-mile-an-hour speed limits. So I'm safe.
I'm not sure I don't survive at 25 miles. It gets a flat tire. It's total.
We're just being we're disclosing all risks here.
Yeah.
So Jeremy from VidAngel wanted to make sure that we didn't lose track of giving credit to Ira from Utah for their $22,000 investment earlier. So
oh
Ira
my
from
goodness.
Utah with $22,000.
Ira from Utah invested $22,000. Thank you, Ira.
Austin from Washington invested $1,005. So we hope we can make you guys good profit off this. We have no idea where this will go, but if you just say, okay, so this company is valued at $200+ million, a little over 200 million, and I'm investing in it. If this became big, so you've got examples like Disney, which is worth 160+ billion, right, or something like that.
I don't know.
Might be higher than that.
It's in it's over 100 billion.
Yeah,
for sure.
Netflix is worth over 200 billion, and you just start doing math. You can see that there's huge potential
in the market. If we can
actually
succeed,
get a significant foothold in the market, there's a lot of potential of how big.
If we actually become the brand that everybody knows as the place to find stories of light, like stuff that matches our North Star, there's a lot of people in the world who would like to experience that stuff. So when we succeed at that, if we succeed, I should say, on an investor live stream, there's great market potential in that. And furthermore, during hard times, media, because there's this fundamental need in humanity for stories to help uplift. Media is one of those things that, like during the Great Depression, it was one of the only industries that grew during the Great Depression because people needed the stories. And so if we're able to provide, there's so much media out there that's just divisive. It's dark. It's just
salacious.
It's not feeding people's souls out there. And we just think the market's wide open for content that feeds the soul
and is good.
Yeah,
there's lots of content that feeds the soul. There's not a lot of great content that feeds the soul. That's the rare combination.
Yeah, and that's what we aim to do.
Yeah. Just so people that came on later understand, we sold, the shareholders of VidAngel made a vote, and we sold off the VidAngel assets, the filtering company, to Bill Aho, and they
to VidAngel Entertainment,
VidAngel
LLC.
Entertainment LLC,
or Inc.
is run by Bill Aho, who's the godfather of filtering. That's what we call him, because he got the Family Movie Act passed. And that is a different company now. And we felt like a very fair offer there. And then we are hyper focused on original content. We took VidAngel Inc. and we changed its name of the company to Angel Studios Inc. And that company, everybody who was an investor in VidAngel that sold off that asset still owns Angel Studios.
Yes. Great.
Okay, next question is from Gabriel, who asks, is it possible to become a shareholder and at the same time submit scripts for production? Is being a shareholder compatible with being a creator or exclusive?
Is there a note from Fred there?
Right here.
Okay, so our compliance officer said there's no problem with investing in Angel Studios and then submitting your, now in the question he asked about a script. We don't accept scripts. We accept pilots or short films at this time. So it doesn't disqualify you from being able to submit. So if you'd like to join us and become part of Angel Studios, please do. And if you have a pilot or short film that you want to submit, there's a place. If you go to angelstudios.com, right at the top of the page, there's a place to apply or to submit your application. And we encourage you to do that. Lawrence from Tennessee invested $507. Thank you, Lawrence.
Hey, that's the last question we have for right now. Let me check to see real quick what we've got in the pipeline. Okay, there may be some potential investments coming down, so maybe we hang on for them a little bit. If you guys have a story you wanted to dive in real quick, or we can take a break to watch the pitch video one more time.
Great. Do you see any other questions there on YouTube that are investment related?
There's one about filtering stuff, which is not investment related. Just Angel Studios will be filtering the content of
that we produce.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
the filters are always going to be available.
Exist,
yep.
And we actually want to use those filters to make sure that the content keeps creators honest over time.
Yep.
Chad from Utah invested $293.
Thank you, Chad.
And I think we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon. Brad, do you got any?
That's looks like we're about wrapped down here.
Okay.
No more questions.
As my wife has called.
Okay.
It's time to go home.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you. We expect to do this again. We thank you for being on this live stream and for joining us on this journey. Let's go build the home for stories that amplify light. Go Angels.
Yep. Thanks.